Hello, I'm attorney Thomas Burton. I'm an estate planning and asset protection attorney here in Wisconsin. And in today's video, I want to talk about helping senior Americans with elder law planning during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're all living through this reality of the COVID-19 coronavirus global pandemic. And here in Wisconsin, unfortunately, cases have been rising throughout the fall, heading into the winter. And what I'm seeing in my practice is this is having a big impact on the way seniors are cared for in Wisconsin and throughout the country, and also on their options when dealing with elder law and estate planning during this time. So if you followed the channel, you know that I always advise taking charge of your estate planning when you're healthy and able and not waiting until the very last moment. But for some seniors, they either don't have a plan in place or want to put a plan in place during this time for the peace of mind that comes from having a fully completed estate plan. But this can be a challenge now that seniors sometimes are confined to their nursing home, or they're confined to their own home out of fears of contracting the virus by heading out of the house. And in fact, in recent months, I've had several clients dealing with situations like this. And so I wanted to create this video today to help others who are working with their loved ones who may be seniors during this time. Now, what I've been doing with seniors is meeting with them by video meeting, and this can keep them safe at home without any chance of germ transmission, either by getting in the car coming to the office or meeting with me. Even though I am healthy, it keeps them at home and less people they meet with, less germ transmission. But the upside is a video meeting like this, we can still meet face to face. I can look and evaluate how they're doing. More than just the telephone, you get more sensory perception through the video. And I had a meeting like this a couple weeks ago that worked very well, where the potential client was over 90 and very important to stay safe during this time. So thinking about these several client issues I've had over the past several weeks, I've come up with a video today where I want to talk about 3 main documents every senior should have in place during the COVID-19 pandemic. And along the way, I'm going to give you some tips if you are the loved one or friend working with this senior American, elder adult, how you can help during this time. Because the issue is you are not the one making the legal documents, but you know they need the help. So let's get right into it. The first important document on my list for every senior to have is a healthcare power of attorney. So no matter what state you're living in, they should have a document that's either called a health care power of attorney or an advance directive. And in that document, the elder can name an agent to act as an advocate, and they can also name a backup agent. So the first choice, and then someone in case something would happen to the first choice. And inside this document, they can detail their wishes on nursing homes, feeding tubes, end-of-life care. Now, these documents vary from state to state, so you want to generally use the statutory document, the one created under the statutes of the state you're living in. Here in Wisconsin, we do have a statutory version anyone can get for free. You can download it from the Department of Health Services, or, which I recommend, working with an attorney who uses this document and can even customize it more for your elder American situation. But it's important to have an advocate in place during this time, and that document can allow the agent to get access to their medical records for the senior under the HIPAA law. Now, the other thing I see coming into play here is during the COVID-19 pandemic, seniors, like I said, are being trapped in their homes or out of fear of the virus, or literally trapped in the nursing home because they cannot leave because the nursing home is under lockdown. And this is why you need that advocate on the outside, a healthcare agent. Generally, I recommend someone younger who is still able to move about in the community and check up on the senior and be an advocate for them. And where I'm also seeing this come in play is recently I had a story told to me about a senior who had to go into the hospital. They were over age 90 and they have hearing issues with a hearing aid, and the daughter was not allowed to go up to the room to visit the mother because with the pandemic, understandably, they're limiting visitors. However, the mother has a hearing aid and doesn't hear well, and so she wasn't even able to use the phone to call her daughter during this 2-day hospital stay. And the part that was really shocking to me was that at this hospital they had changed the policy about feeding, ordering a meal. And so it had changed to be where you had to call down to get your meal. But the daughter isn't sure her mother ever was aware of that. So the mother came home and never wants to go back to the hospital again. It was a very confusing and difficult situation. And the daughter is wondering if perhaps the mother didn't even get food during this time. Now, we don't know for sure, but the point of my story is you need that advocate on the outside looking after you. And when visitors aren't allowed at all, it becomes even more important, because I'm sure the hospital didn't intend not to feed the mother, but I could see a situation where this could happen. However, inadvertently, even missing one meal when you're a senior American, when you're anyone, if your blood sugar levels are declining, your cognitive abilities can also decline. So you need that healthcare agent. And if you're watching, this video is for seniors, but also those a little younger who are helping seniors in their lives. They need to have that agent in place. And the healthcare systems are going to want a healthcare power of attorney in place, okay? They are worried about liability, and they are not going to cooperate with you unless you have the proper legal documents in place. Just be aware they are not your advocate. They are treating you, but they will not do anything not allowed by law, okay? So you need to have the proper legal documents in place, and that's why I suggest working with a lawyer to get them in place, because again, the healthcare system in our country is a large corporate system, and they're not the advocate for the patient per se. They're providing care, but they have to make sure on their end they're looking out for their liability. So if you don't have the proper document in place naming an agent, they're not just going to take someone's word for it that you are the son or daughter or niece and have the authority to make decisions. So that's why you need the document laying out those decisions in writing regarding those choices. Now, second important document to have in place is a financial power of attorney. Similar to the healthcare, you can name an agent, a backup agent, in case the primary agent is unable to act. But this becomes key because someone to pay bills, manage assets, and possibly apply for Medicaid. So if the senior American is in the hospital or nursing home, unable to get out, it's important to have this document in place, because it may become necessary for the agent to take over more duties, the agent being the person who's healthy and out in the community who could take care of certain tasks. So for example, earlier this spring I had a client who was in the nursing home, and she got in that situation where locked inside. Thankfully, she had her husband on the outside who could meet with me to go through the legal paperwork to help them apply for Medicaid long-term nursing home assistance. But under Medicaid law, the person seeking Medicaid has to sign the Medicaid application unless they have a proper power of attorney in place naming an agent who can do it. And we were able to get that in place for the husband, and I was able to go to the nursing home and get it signed and notarized before the shutdown. But my point of this is that was before they locked down the nursing home. So you want to have that financial power of attorney in place with the necessary powers in case you need it. And so that's where working with an attorney is important, to make sure the document is what you need. And then if you are in the nursing home, you may have capacity, but you can direct your agent to do certain tasks for you. And the key here is this would avoid the need for a court-ordered guardianship, which requires going to court, hiring an attorney, filing paperwork to become a court-appointed guardian. It's much more expensive. Plan to spend several $1,000s versus putting a financial power of attorney in place ahead of time. So that's key to take care of elder Americans' assets if they are incapacitated or unable to act, or even, like I said, just trapped inside a care facility at this point. And then the third important document to have is a will or trust. And I think people are most familiar with these documents, but that's to pass your assets to heirs after you're gone. The trust can provide protection against the guardianship. If you have a living trust in place, you can avoid a need for a court-ordered guardianship for sure, because if you put all your assets in the trust and you name a backup trustee to yourself being the elder American, that person can easily manage the assets for you. In addition, with a trust, you can avoid probate upon death. Can't do that with a will. A will has to go through probate, but a trust, you can avoid probate. And with either a will or a trust, you can pick your personal representative, the executor under a will or personal representative in Wisconsin, or pick your own trustee under the trust. And that's the person who would manage your estate either after you're gone with a will or with a trust in the event of your incapacity and after you're gone. So that's important about your assets, but you'll notice I didn't start with that document because what's most important for seniors is their health and well-being while they're alive. And of course we want to make sure their wishes are honored after death as well, but in my opinion, they need that advocate. They need their health while they're here with us, especially during this time with the COVID-19 pandemic. So in summary, what's my point of all this? What seniors need, they needed it before, but it's only become more apparent during the pandemic, is they need empowered advocates. They need someone who can advocate for them during periods where they may be incapacitated, or they still have capacity, but they're physically trapped inside their home or the nursing home and don't have the freedom of movement they used to. So you need those empowered advocates. The legal documents I discussed let seniors choose the advocate that they trust versus leaving it up to a court, a judge who doesn't know them, to try to decide later. And the legal documents ensure their wishes are honored. Okay, so a lot of times people will say to me, well, mom or dad told me what they want to happen. And as much as I believe that, and I believe they may have discussed it orally, oral agreements are not going to hold up in court, okay? So we need the legal documents in writing, and we need mom or dad to say what they want and put it in writing. And that's the best to protect both the senior and the person acting as the advocate. So my bonus summary here is, how can you help? How can you help those seniors in your life, those friends, relatives, neighbors during this time? And my advice to you is be an advocate. Check up on them. And when it comes to these legal planning, maybe you're the one watching this YouTube video. Some seniors, depending on age, are on YouTube now. Some aren't. But you could show them this video or discuss it with them after watching it. You could also help them set up a video meeting with an attorney during this time. Okay, so that's where I see a lot of middle-aged folks coming into play. They're the ones helping. At my office, I have a send a video device service where I'll send it to the senior all set up for the meeting. But as you get older, often you still want a little help with this, and that's where someone in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s can help that senior who might be in their 80s or 90s set up this meeting. And that's the way I did a meeting just 2 weeks ago, and it worked great with someone who is 90 plus, but the daughter helped set up the device for the meeting, but that kept them safe at home, no chance of germ transmission. But you can help set up the meeting not just with the attorney like me, but also healthcare providers, financial advisors, banks, etc. So that's a way you can help right now. You could also help get the copies of the legal documents to the right people. So if the senior American has named you as the agent, with their permission, you can help get the documents to the attorney, the healthcare provider, or the bank. So that's the other scenario I see this come into play. Sometimes we have that video meeting and I will discuss the wishes with the senior American, because remember, they're in charge of their own healthcare, financial, and estate planning decisions. But they might say, well, I have an old will or the deed to my house I want you to look at. And I would say to them, could you send that to me via either mail or email it to me? And sometimes they aren't sure how to do that, but that's where the agent can help and help get those documents to me in a quick and socially distant, safe manner. Finally, you're that advocate outside the hospital or nursing home. You can be the person who is, hopefully you have your health out in the community and able to do the freedom of movement and all the types of normal things we think about right now during COVID-19 and advocate for them. And it's important to have an advocate no matter who you are, but especially as you become older in age, and especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic, when, as like I said, many seniors are either trapped inside a nursing home or hospital or feel trapped inside their home because they're trying to stay home following CDC guidelines to avoid excess exposure to the virus. So today, this is an overview of ways you can help those senior Americans in your lives. Again, the legal documents are important, but the overall goal is to have advocates in place who can help them during these times, because as the examples I gave earlier, it's a very difficult and trying time for seniors. And for many, they do need help with financial, legal, or health affairs during this time, but we have to go about it in a safe way for them and a way that also works well for them. So if you're interested in learning more about these specific estate planning documents, I went through them in this video today, but I have other videos specifically on how will or trust works, or a healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney. You can check those out. But I wanted to make this today specifically as it deals with COVID-19 and what I'm seeing, and get this information out there to those of you who are being advocates for these seniors in our community. And I also want to thank you for what you're doing this time, because your work has always been important, but it's never been more important than now. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.